This video is brought to you by Glossfold. More about them later in the video. Money, we all need it, we all use it, and without even realizing it, we all inherit ideas about it. But most of what we believe about money doesn't come from books or school or even YouTube videos. It starts much earlier, in the background, in our living rooms, at the dinner table, in those moments when the rent was late or the fridge was a little too empty. If you grew up in a household where money was tight, you probably pick up a lot of unspoken lessons. Those lessons go deep, they get baked into your sense of safety, success, even self-worth. So today, we're diving into 10 money beliefs often passed down in low-income households and what it might look like to reframe them. One of the first lessons many of us learn is this: money is scarce. And I don't mean in a budgeting sense, I mean in a deep emotional sense, like money is something that's always about to run out. You grew up hearing we can't afford that, or money doesn't grow on trees, and over time, it doesn't just sound like a temporary situation, it feels prominent. Like abundance is for other people in a different tax bracket, a different neighborhood, a different life. Even when you start earning more, that mindset doesn't vanish. You might find yourself clinging to your paycheck, afraid to spend a single cent, even if it's on something that could improve your life. You tell yourself it's being responsible, but underneath, fear. The belief that there's never going to be enough. But here's what wealthy families often teach their kids, that money is a tool that you can exchange with value you created. They talk about how money is something you can learn to attract and manage. Growing instead of hoarding, as it's not a zero-sum game most of the time, the belief isn't there's not enough, it's how can I earn more? That single shift changes everything. Then there's the idea that hard work equals wealth. When it's paired with constant struggle and little reward, it can send a conflicting message. When your parents are working 2 jobs and still can't get ahead, you might grow up believing that if you're not financially stable, you're just not working hard enough. And that can lead to burnout without the benefit. Meanwhile, wealthy families often teach a different message. Hard work is part of the picture, but what really matters is working smart. Rich people tend to focus on leverage, how to earn from investments, systems, skills, or ownership. It's not how many hours you grind, but how your effort creates ongoing value. If you're juggling work, kids, and life, you probably do not have time to log every coffee or every tap and go. You want one clear snapshot of your cash so you can make better decisions. This is where Glossfold helps. It is an all-in-one personal finance app that puts your money in one place so you can see where you stand at a glance. You can sync multiple bank accounts to see your balances, then search your full transaction history in one place. In the future view, see the interest each account would earn each month. Want to grow your money faster? Compare the top 10 highest rate savings account in your country. You can store important documents like bank statements in cabinet so everything lives in one place and you always know where you stand. Privacy matters. Glossfold uses AEC 256-bit encryption and gives you a clean, ad-free experience, and it is available on desktop, Apple, and Android. Try it with my link and you get a 2-week free trial, no credit card required. If you do decide to upgrade, use code Irene at checkout for 2 months free on the yearly plan. The offer runs until October 31st. Link in the below description. Another common lesson: spending on yourself is selfish. When every dollar has a job, rent, groceries, gas, spending on anything extra feels wrong. That $10 you wanted to spend on a new book, that's 2 meals. That hoodie you've had your eye on, you don't need that right now. So when money does show up, the instinct is to protect it, to stretch it, to avoid wasting it. But this often teaches kids that buying anything non-essential is a luxury they can't afford, even when they can. That mindset can carry into adulthood and become guilt. Guilt for spending, guilt for enjoying. By contrast, wealthy families often normalize something different, that spending on yourself when intentional is a sign of financial confidence. They teach their kids that money is meant to serve your life, not just cover the basics. In households where money is tight, kids also learn that credit is a lifeline. Whether it's payday loans, rent-to-own furniture, or back-sell credit cards, debt becomes a short-term solution to long-term problems. And growing up seeing credit used as a safety net teaches kids to normalize borrowing without necessarily understanding the long-term cost. But for wealthy families, credit is a tool, not a trap. They teach their kids how to use credit to their advantage, earning points, building credit scores, leveraging low-interest loans for investments or business. Debt isn't seen as a survival. The key difference here, they are taught how to manage it before they need it. Frugality is another legacy, but in some homes, it crosses into extreme saving out of fear. When you've seen how quickly things can fall apart, a broken car, a surprise medical bill, it makes sense to hold on to every cent. But sometimes that leads to missing out on opportunities that require upfront investment, like education or starting a business. The lesson becomes, it's safer to save than to risk. On the flip side, people raised around wealth often learn to save with purpose, not fear. They are taught that saving is important, but so is deploying capital. They don't just save money for safety, they invest it for growth. They're not afraid to spend on something that could increase their knowledge, income, or freedom. And then there's the subtle message that wealth is for them, not us. It's the internalized belief that rich people are different, that they got lucky or were born into it, or that they are somehow disconnected from real life. When kids absorb that belief, they stop aiming for more. They stop believing wealth is even on the table for them. And that shapes what they study, where they work, and how they dream. What do wealthy families teach their kids? That wealth is not just possible, it's expected. With the right habits, kids grow up seeing people like them succeed. It builds confidence, they're encouraged to take risks, explore entrepreneurship, invest early. Tom Corley, the co-author of Rich Habits, Poor Habits, discovered that it's the daily habits and thinking that separate the wealthy from the poor from his 5-year study. For example, 63% of the wealthy listen to audiobooks during their commute versus 5% of the poor. 8% of the wealthy believe wealth comes from random good luck versus 79% of the poor. 67% of the wealthy watch 1 hour or less of TV per day versus 23% of the poor. Community and sharing often shine in low-income households, and while this is a beautiful value, it can also come with the expectation that you owe your family everything. Kids grow up learning that if you do make money, you don't just use it for yourself, you help everyone around you. Again, this is generous, but when taken to extremes, it can create financial pressure, guilt, and even resentment. Meanwhile, wealthy families often teach boundaries alongside generosity. The idea is that you help best when you are strong yourself, that building your own stability first allows you to give sustainably. Rich kids are often encouraged to become independent early, not because their families don't care, but because they know long-term support comes from financial strength, not sacrifice. Many kids are also taught that you start working as soon as you can, sometimes even at the expense of school. Contributing to the household is honorable, and it can also mean sacrificing future opportunities. It tells young people to prioritize immediate cash over long-term gain, which can look them into cycles of underpaid work. Wealthy families take a different approach. They often see the early years as a time to invest in skills. Internship, even unpaid experience are seen as valuable if they open doors long term. The lesson isn't get a job fast, it's build your value first. They delay gratification to maximize future returns. In a lot of households where money is tight, it's not just the lack of money that's stressful, it's the silence around it. No one really talks about budgets. There's no family meeting about saving for the future. And if you ask about bills or income, you might get a sharp, "Don't worry about it," or just an awkward pause. When money is a source of stress, families often avoid the topic entirely, out of fear. The idea is, if we don't talk about it, maybe the stress will go away. But of course it doesn't. And what kids learn in that silence is powerful. They learn that money is scary, that it's confusing, that it's not something you're supposed to understand, let alone manage. These kids grow up emotionally reactive to money, stressed when there's not enough, impulsive when there's extra, and ashamed when they're unsure what to do with it. The taboo sticks. They become adults who still flinch at the idea of checking their bank balance, who avoid financial planning because it feels like a fight waiting to happen. And later, they become grandparents who still tell their kids and grandkids, "We don't talk about money in this house." It becomes generational passed down like a family recipe, but doing no good to the legacy of the family, if they care. In wealthy households, money isn't taboo. It's talked about at the dinner table, not dramatically, just normally. They discuss saving goals, investments, interest rates, even taxes. Kids hear their parents talk about money like it's a tool, so when these kids grow up, they are not afraid of spreadsheets or statements. They know how to plan, they know how to ask questions, and more importantly, they're not embarrassed to talk about money out loud. Next lesson, don't dream too big. This one hurts because it usually comes from love. In many low-income households, kids are told to keep their dreams small. They don't want their children to get hurt, to feel disappointment, to chase something that feels impossible. So when a kid says, "I want to be an artist," or "I want to run my own business," the response isn't excitement, it's caution. That's not realistic. Pick something stable, like a doctor, lawyer, or engineer. Over time, those warnings shape your identity. You stop aiming high, you trade possibility for practicality because that feels safer. You never give yourself a chance to find out what you're really capable of. In contrast, wealthy families often encourage dreaming because they can afford the risk, of course. They say things like, try it, see what happens. They know that even if you fail, you'll learn because they know the fundamental element of success is to learn from your mistakes. That safety net allows for experimentation, and that dreaming big is how people eventually build big things. Having lived in Australia for 18 years, I found Australia has a very interesting culture going on. It even has a name for it. Later, I found that it's called tall poppy syndrome. If someone grows too tall, becomes too successful, ambitious, wealthy, confident, they should be cut down, shortened, made more relatable. We say we love success, but we often feel more comfortable when people don't shine too brightly. Someone gets promoted and suddenly they are full of themselves. Someone starts a business and you hear, let's see how long that lasts. Even modest confidence can be mistaken for arrogance. And then what happens? People start dimming their lights on purpose and they downplay their wins, they soften their goals, they try not to stand out because standing out too much means not fitting in. And when that mindset meets poverty, it doubles down. You already feel like wealth, success, or ambition isn't for people like us, and now you are told that if you do make it, you'll make everyone else uncomfortable, that you're seen as greedy, showy, or too good for your roots. Shrinking yourself doesn't serve anyone. The people who grow tall and stay tall, they usually didn't get there alone. They had support, encouragement, a space to fail and try again. Yes, part of that comes from financial safety. The family might be able to afford the risk to fail and try again, but that confidence didn't appear out of nowhere. Somewhere in that family history, someone had to dream big first, someone took the leap, built something from nothing, and pushed through the fear. That's the kind of environment that we need to build, not one where we cut each other down and stay mediocre. Money is the root of all evil. This is one of the most emotionally loaded money beliefs. The idea that money itself is bad, that rich people are greedy, dishonest. If you want money, there must be something wrong with you. And again, this belief doesn't come from nowhere. It comes from pain, from working hard and getting little, while watching someone else get rich from doing similarly less. So money becomes not just a challenge, it becomes morally suspicious. Wanting it feels selfish, having it feels shameful. And if you do start to succeed, you might self-sabotage. You give it away too quickly or downplay your success because you are afraid what people will think. But wealthy families tend to see money very differently. To them, money is neutral, either good nor bad. It's a tool, a resource, a way to expand your impact. They don't equate having money with being unethical. They talk about what money allows them to do: travel, invest in courses, create freedom, build something meaningful. Money doesn't change who you are, it amplifies it. If you're kind, you'll be kind with money. If you're generous, money lets you give more. It's not the root of all evil. It's a reflection of yourself. If you are raised with any of these beliefs, you're not alone. They are rooted in survival, in love, in trying to make the best of what's there, but they're not permanent. You can rewire the script, you can teach yourself and your kids new lessons about growth, opportunity, and stability. Because while money might not grow on trees, understanding it, that's something anyone can cultivate.